I was just talking, this by the way is Andy Wallace. How would you explain what your role is? Potentially one of the best jobs in the world.
It certainly can be. Well, I take customers for a ride, show them how it all works, same with media, and give VIP rides. And basically I continue my life, which is my life without having a proper job.
And how many miles have you done in the Chiron?
I've now done over 70,000 kilometres in the Chiron.
70,000 k.
And I'll tell you what, it never gets old.
I can imagine. So the significance of this moment for me is hard to quantify in words. We are about to go up a famous road in Abu Dhabi called Jebel Hafit, but on our way there, what I want to do is try and put into context why this car is so special, almost sort of quantify as to why the car is so expensive from an engineering point of view, because I think we read these stats and figures about 0 to 60 times and top speeds, all nice and good, but how that's achieved is a totally different ball game. Things like the centrifugal force. Let's start with that, because that for me is such a small detail that almost highlights everything about this car.
Well, so the further you get away from the centre of the wheel, further out towards the edge of the wheel, the G increases, the forces on the wheel and the tyre increase. They also go up as a square of the speed. Right. So at 420, which is our electronically limited top speed, the valve cap, which weighs 2.5 grams, is subjected to 3,000 times gravity, so it weighs 7.5 kilos, trying to escape from the centre line of the tyre, or the centre of the wheel. The temperature and pressure sensor weighs 44 grams, which by the way is a very lightweight one.
I'm sure it is, yeah.
And with the forces acting on that, that's 132 kilos.
132 kilos. And that obviously, when you're going that kind of speed, it's very important that those things work.
I understand from when they did the early testing that we were using a fairly standard temperature and pressure sensor that is used in most normal cars. Okay. And on Michelin's rig, we were finding that actually they were snapping loose.
They were snapping loose.
And coming out through the top of the tyre. So it's just little things like that, which everything about this car, it's breaking new ground in so many areas. Yeah. So of course, it was modified, a new one was designed and engineered and put on the car, and we have no such problems, but it's just to go to show you the forces. Now, that's at the valve. By the time you get to the tyre sidewall, we're asking the tyre sidewall to withstand 3,800 G at that point. And this is at the limited 420.
It's like, but you're saying these figures as if it's just like, 3,800. Like that's like unfathomable force. It's just ridiculous.
It really is, yeah. Well, and this is why, of course, when you see a car going for the world land speed record, they use solid metal discs and not tyres, because for this reason.
We've just hit our first few corners. I know on paper this car isn't by convention light, but like freakishly it feels it. I mean, I assume you've got a very low center of gravity in this because it feels flowing, no problem at all. Yeah. Good God, the torque that's available it feels light, man.
It does, and I think what's more important than the actual number of kilograms, you can get fixated on that. It is, you're right, it's centre of gravity. Yeah. And actually the centre of gravity on the Chiron is considerably lower. So in developing the engine, which is 90% or more new,
Yes.
we've had to obviously make the bottom end of the engine quite a lot stronger. So that's added weight. So to get rid of the weight again, things like the inlet manifold is a totally composite piece now.
Yes.
And so we've taken a lot of weight off the top of the engine. The engine weighs the same as it did in the Veyron, but the CG is considerably lower.
In terms of low down torque, I mean, I am feathering this throttle, and I feel like we're actually being drawn along the road by more of a magnetic pull, actually. It's got such effortless torque. It's an incredible feeling.
And that's down to the two-stage turbocharging that we spoke about a bit earlier.
Yes.
Which is that we use just 2 turbos early on. Here's a straight bit, see what you think.
Right.
It's astonishing, really.
It's astonishing. Yeah, it's shouldn't be legal. What a piece of kit.
But yeah, with the two-stage turbocharger, you actually force all the exhaust gases from the 16 cylinders through only 2 turbochargers in the low RPM range, and they spin up very quickly. And then you let the other 2 join the party later on.
Wow.
And the result is max torque from 2,000 to 6,000.
The brakes are like, again, everything about this thing. I know it shouldn't be, but everything about it's surprising.
It really is. It's amazing. And the traction is
even
in first gear.
sensational, isn't it? Engine, on the outset, you'd be forgiven for thinking that it's a version of the Veyron engine because it's still the 8-litre W60, but of course that's not the case at all. What measures have taken place to get this thing to do what it does? Earlier on, you were talking to me about the consumption of air and the amount of fuel it drinks. Talk me through that, because again, insane.
Yeah, and those are only the extremes. So what if you found a piece of road, or you owned your own country and made your own piece of road, and you could actually hold the throttle down for 6 minutes and 49 seconds at full speed,
right,
you would actually drain the 100-litre tank. But that's like a headline figure, because in fact, in normal use, you can easily clear 500 kilometres on a tank.
Okay.
But that 6 minutes and 49 seconds, you've still travelled a distance of 56 kilometres because of the way you're covering the ground. So it's just, all these numbers they're problems that are not having to be solved by anybody else because they haven't got the performance.
I mean, one car that I've driven recently, this isn't something to compare at all, but this is going back to engineering again. I just came back from the launch of the Audi RS4, and I was sort of hoping that they would have put a dual clutch gearbox in it, but because a gearbox at that price point as a twin clutch couldn't cope with the torque, they opted for a more conventional 8-speed.
Yeah.
Now, how many pound-feet of torque has this got?
1180.
1180
over that whole 2,000 to 6,000 range.
And you're running a twin clutch gearbox. Now, this isn't to compare. This is to highlight just the magnificence of the engineering that's involved in this thing. I mean, like, how do you go about making components that deal with that?
Well, that's the thing, and I suppose it's expensive, isn't it? So if you're making a car that is going to be costing you a little bit more, you can put the engineering and the costing into it.
Well, we're going to debrief in the car. Well, look at this resplendent Bentley that we've had laid on for us to drive all the way back to Dubai. We got a chats link. We got some stuff to be talking about. Thank you very much, sir. It's our wonderful driver this evening. Wow, look at that for an interior. Debrief, dude.
How was that,
mate? I mean, so my angle, if you're at the end of the video now, it's easy to talk about how fast it is.
Yep.
I wanted to highlight the sort of engineering genius behind how it's so fast.
Okay.
Because it reaches this sort of realm of speed where all of a sudden everything is just magnified, well, 3,000 times. So Andy was giving me a stat that the centrifugal g-force on the dust cap of the tyre, I think it weighs something like 2.4 grams when it's static, and it weighs like over 7 kilograms when it's at top speed. So he was saying the forces of everything are just so magnified. Yeah, well, apparently it was 3,000 times. You know, that basically, at those sort of speeds, you can apply that formula to thousands of components on the car, which simply didn't exist. Like, they have to create and invent them. So the magnificent thing about it is, yes, it's like organ-bendingly fast.
Yeah.
But the thing that I think I'm the most impressed with is how luxurious and refined it is doing it. Like, there's cars which are as fast,
but there's nothing. There's no.
But
carpets,
they're just stripped out.
It's just
and
carbon, and that's it.
It's just,
Shout.
that's it. And it's a very different experience. I can't think of anything that does what that thing does. Like,
well, we're in Bentley now, and the Chiron.
The Chiron is as luxurious, if not more.
Yeah,
absolutely. Which kind of says it all, really, doesn't it? It feels like you're in this, but it drives. It just like it drives like a proper supercar, but you kind of approach it like a. I actually call this thing a hyper GT.
Yeah,
because it's so much luxury, easy. You could cruise in it easily. You know, it's got a fabulous sound system in it, like plush leather. They weren't in the game to save weight.
It's big.
It's big. Yeah. It's
like
a big car.
Before, I'm tall, and I got in it, and there's plenty of room in it.
The way it puts down traction, like flat in first, it just squats and goes, and that is deploying savage amounts of torque.
1500 brake horsepower.
1500 brake horsepower, and it just goes, and the rate at which it covers ground is quite scary.
How was the braking compared to what you thought?
Much
when that
better.
air brake comes up,
it's like throwing a parachute out behind you.
It's brilliant. It looks
you
fantastic.
anchor on first, and obviously the brakes take the first hit, but then when the air brake comes off, there is this like surge of a sort of depletion of energy upon this brake coming up, and it sheds off so much speed, and obviously it has to.
And it looks cool.
And it looks amazing.
It looks brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, this year has been ridiculous, but to be able to finish it with a Chiron, I hope you guys have basically appreciated the content over the last 12 months.
And hopefully it comes across on the tracking shots and some of the things we've done. The road that we've done it on.
Yeah, amazing. So those tracking shots
is brilliant.
I wish I'd have filmed you actually, because you were literally hanging out the boot of a car trying to get those shots. So thank Adam for those beautiful shots. Comments below. This is a Christmas special, so Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Hand clap symbols for a round of applause for Adam getting some great tracking shots. And yeah, who knows what 2018 will bring, but we have some stuff in the pipeline, and I have a feeling it's going to be quite epic.
What a day.
See you soon. Ciao.